What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me. Once again, welcome back to the episode 61. NFL teams who are better than their record. I feel like there's a lot of teams that could actually qualify for this. I feel like this has been a weird year. No OTAs, no preseason, training camp, but it was a weird training camp to say the least. There's a lot of teams right now that could be fringe playoff teams, in my opinion, that could find their way into the playoffs somehow. Like, they could legitimately be playoff contenders. The Atlanta Falcons is a team that comes to mind. Everybody's been making jokes about how they can't finish games and about how they can't get it done when the game's on the line. Am I the only one that remembers that this is pretty much the same exact team? Pretty much. Not exactly, but pretty much the same team that came out and went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. This is still a very good team. They've still got Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley is no slouch. And Matt Ryan is a very respectable, albeit underrated quarterback. They got Todd Gurley. They got a respectable defense that's finally playing better. They embarrassed the Vikings, by the way, that was rough, but topic for another day. Grady Jarrett is one of the best defensive tackles in the entire NFL. Deion Jones. I mean, from top to bottom, they have one of the best rosters, in my opinion, in the entire NFL, and it's not even close. If we're talking about players that overall can just get it done, this roster might be one of the best I've ever seen. And have they had their bumps along the way? Yes. Have they let some games slip through their fingers? Also a yes. I'm also not going to be that type of guy that just asks easy questions just so I can answer them and look intelligent, i.e. The Office. If you don't watch The Office, change that. But at the same time, I feel like a team like the Cowboys is also a great team to bring up. Now, obviously, Dak Prescott, his injury was just devastating. We all love Dak Prescott. That's cliche. Yes, we get it. We love him. Hope he gets better. But the Cowboys, other than the Falcons, are probably, in terms of offensively, clearly one of the better put-together teams in the entire NFL. Do they need some help defensively? Yes, Dexter Lawrence can't do it himself, especially when it comes to pressuring the quarterback. And I think that it's also one of those things, not Dexter Lawrence, I apologize. I think that this defense, even though as many issues that it has, this is still a very good team. Now, again, offensively, they're one of the best in the NFL, and Zeke is clearly, he's Zeke. We don't need to say anything else. He goes out there and eats. So, DeMarcus Lawrence, excuse me, I couldn't think of it. But this team is still very, very promising. They are better than their record suggests. They are not a 2-7 team. When Dak Prescott is healthy, they are an 8-8 fringe playoff team. They could be a 9-7. They could be a 10-6 team. The Dallas Cowboys, with how well they play, are very with how well their roster is put together and how well they can play. Jalen Smith, Trayvon Diggs, Leighton Vander Esch has been out since like week 6, whatever it was. They got DeMarcus Lawrence. They got Eldon Smith, who, by the way, I'm so happy to see the way this man is turning it around. Put together, this team is on paper very promising and could very well find its way into the playoffs. But at the same time, there's something to be said about coaches that can get the most out of talent. I don't know that McCarthy is the answer right now. I really don't. I've got nothing but respect for him. I think he can be a coach that gets it done. But Mike McCarthy has a Super Bowl that was won off the back of Aaron Rodgers having an otherworldly season that year and a moderately good defense. So, in essence, the Cowboys are a fringe playoff team, but they aren't a team that is necessarily, their coach is probably their biggest problem. And I think that a lot of these teams, after they have some coaches that maybe are shown the door, they can potentially find their way to the light. And maybe another coach can find a way to get some talent out of these teams because between the Cowboys and the Falcons, you want to talk about talent. Those are some talented teams right there. My last team that I want to talk about and then get out of here and kind of get moving on with tonight is the Denver Broncos. I came on the podcast, I came on their live streams, and I said about the fact that the Denver Broncos can very well be a playoff team this year. I still feel that way because based on their talent, they are offensively and defensively. This isn't a Cowboys situation. This isn't a Falcons situation necessarily, even though the Falcons, I think, are kind of matched with them on both sides of the football. The Denver Broncos are still a dangerous team. I know things are looking a little bleak. They don't have Von Miller. They've had some injuries that have piled up on the defense. But their offense, I'm telling you, from the future moving on, the Broncos are way better than their record suggests. They are in no way not talented enough to not be in the playoffs. Clearly, things just went wrong this year. It happens. But at the same time, in order to be able to evaluate a roster, I think from top to bottom now, is there some things that the Broncos can do minorly for special teams? Yes, I understand that. But from top to bottom, this roster is incredible. I mean, 2 running backs that could start for any team, 3 deep at wide receiver that I absolutely love. I know Noah Fant is such a slept on tight end. It's a crime. It's an absolute crime. So the Broncos are certainly a team that deserves a little bit of credit. Because next year, as early as next year, I believe that with Drew Luck playing the way that he is, with Phillip Lindsay in this offense, guys like Noah Fant, KJ Hamler, yeah, we got it. With guys like this offense moving forward, this could be a very, very special team on both sides of the football, not just offensively. At 3-6, the Denver Broncos are, in my opinion, one of the biggest underperforming teams this year. And it's not necessarily all their fault. But Drew Lock has played well at times, and when he's on, this defense is scary. He's completed about 55% of his passes for 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Melvin Gordon. Is this experiment almost failed? Maybe. It's a question that's valid. 107 carries, 439 yards, 4 touchdowns. Phillip Lindsay has half his carries and almost the same amount of yards. Give Phil Lindsay the football. Offensively, Noah Fant leading the team with 35 catches, 365 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy having a great rookie season, 34 catches, 552 and 2 as well. Tim Patrick doing his thing. KJ Hamler. This offense is something special. Deshaun Hamilton, also nothing to laugh at. This offense is something special. This defense is respectable. The Denver Broncos are clearly a better team than their record suggests. So, I'm going to kind of wrap it up on a little bow here. The Falcons, the Cowboys, and the Broncos are 3 teams that are clearly better than their record this year. And next year, they could be one of the best teams, all 3 of them in the NFC. The Broncos are in the NFC. They could be, those 3 teams could be one of the best in the entire NFL. If they, whether it's a coaching change, whatever it is, but watch out for those 3 teams. They could be something to watch.